Okay, hopefully everybody's there. So I think we'll start with the presentation on the strategy. Mitch, we're ready to go. Okay, so I want to welcome everybody who's here and in particular thank the many partner organizations who've helped shape this strategy. It's yours, and I hope you see your realities, hopes, and priorities reflected in it. I'd also like to appreciate the many funding partners that have supported Frontline AIDS over recent years and other friends and allies with whom we work so closely. You're all very welcome. You're represented here today, and we appreciate those of you who gave us your insights and experience to form the strategy. A strategy we hope that leads to a deeper partnership with each of you. So, in a moment, you're going to hear from a number of colleagues about the strategic direction, but I wanted to start by highlighting the context that this strategy has been developed in. In 2025, a difficult year, we were amongst the first to call this situation the new AIDS emergency. It was a year when we saw funding being cut, rights under attack, conflict and other crises pushing health systems to breaking point, something you all experienced, I know. Once again, communities most affected by HIV, including young people, LGBTQ plus communities, sex workers, people who use drugs and prisoners, are all being pushed to the margins. Until recently, an epidemic that felt within reach, now it feels like we're losing ground that we spent decades fighting for. But this is not a moment for retreat. It's a moment for collective action, grounded in justice and equity, and led by the communities most effective. The Frontline AIDS strategy sets out how we respond to this moment through the power of our global partnership of community-led and civil society organizations. We're guided in this by a strong commitment to anti-racist and feminist principles, and we're looking to shift power to center local knowledge and community leadership. Frontline AIDS will play a global leadership role by building on our existing strengths and fostering innovative practice to reduce new HIV/AIDS infections and AIDS-related deaths. So you're going to hear how we remain committed to our vision and mission, but we'll now focus on 3 priorities where we feel we can make the biggest difference: to strengthen health systems, champion human rights and gender and racial justice, and to build resilience to crisis. We're really excited about the possibilities this strategic direction holds and have designed today's session in a way that you can hear directly from our partners. The strategy is called Power in Partnership because none of us can end this epidemic alone. We do it together as a movement. This is how we end AIDS for everyone. So that's it from me. Let me hand over to Dr. Lilian Otiso. Lilian is the Executive Director of LVCT Health in Kenya. She's also, importantly, the current chair of our Partnership Council, and she's going to speak to us a little bit about how partners have been central in designing the strategy. So over to you, Lilian. Thanks.
Thank you very much, John. So congratulations to Frontline and to the whole partnership for this launch. It's very exciting today. And so for me, I'll speak about and on behalf of the Partnership Council, which is one of the governing arms with the Frontline Partnership. And it has a centering role in strategic decision-making by partners. So that is how we collaborate and work closely with Frontline AIDS in terms of the decisions. And that's how we've also been involved in this strategy development. We are 10 elected member representatives covering representing the 6 regions where Frontline AIDS has partners, and we have 2 youth representatives. And all this is defined in the partnership framework. So the partnership brings together more than 50 partners working across 100 countries, built on shared leadership and decision-making. And so, for example, within the Partnership Council, we do have a rotational chair, and I'm the chair for this quarter. With more than 30 years experience, the partnership allows us to lead, learn, and act together. And some of our partners were involved in developing the strategy, and even previous and ongoing, we will continue to support to ensure that it is operationalized. The process of developing the strategy involved region by region tailored workshops, which many of you were participated in, and it involved a range of partners and stakeholders from all the 6 regions. And partners have been involved in every stage of designing, choice making, and agreeing direction. So it's not just Frontline AIDS strategy, it belongs to all of us as partners and directs what we want to do together and how we want to do it. And we're very excited to see it come through, and very simple and clear, really defining the new direction. So together as partners, we reach 5.2 million people with services. We are all proud of the major roles we play in our national and regional responses. And this strategy therefore allows us to lift our horizons further, to have a global impact and to do it together. And especially at this time when things are changing so fast and are so difficult for our sector, it's even more important that we come together as partners. And that is why the strategy is called Power in Partnership, because it's our greatest strength coming together in common cause to end AIDS for everyone, everywhere. And so to introduce the strategy, we will now share a short video which is available in several languages. A link to this video will be shared at the end of the call, and I hope you enjoy it. So Mitch, please run the video. Thank you.
This is a pivotal moment. Unprecedented funding cuts, attacks on human rights, and challenges like conflict and climate change have pushed the global HIV response into crisis. But Frontline AIDS and our partners are pushing back. Together with communities around the world, we will end AIDS by demanding strong, inclusive health systems, by insisting on rights-based responses to HIV, and by protecting people and progress when crises strike. Our partnership brings together community and civil society organizations in over 100 countries. Though our lives are different, we are united by a bold purpose: building a future free from AIDS.
Alors que les services dédiés au VIH sont menacés, notre collaboration avec la société civile et le gouvernement garantit un investissement à long terme dans les systèmes de santé qui fournissent des soins vitaux à toutes les personnes marginalisées.
Together, we stand up to growing threats to human rights and gender and racial justice. Because we all deserve access to HIV and health services without fear, without violence, without discrimination or criminalization.
A medida que suceden conflictos o desastres naturales, las clínicas y los servicios cierran y la gente pierde un apoyo esencial. Por eso, permanecemos resilientes y listos para adaptarnos, responder y seguir trabajando.
Frontline AIDS connects community organizations so they can share what works and learn from each other, expanding local innovations into shared solutions that deliver impact across borders and on the frontline.
O nosso trabalho com parceiros ajuda a desbloquear financiamento e influencia a tomada de decisões. Garante que as soluções duradouras estejam enraizadas nas necessidades das comunidades.
We are facing a new AIDS emergency, but there is hope. Breakthrough HIV treatments and prevention tools could transform and end the epidemic. The Frontline AIDS partnership will continue to deliver and drive action so we achieve a world free from AIDS for everyone, everywhere. Join us, end it. This is a pivotal moment. Unprecedented funding cuts, attacks on human
Hello, colleagues. I believe it is now for me to come in and speak to you about the strategic priorities. So for those who don't know me already, my name is Fionnuala Murphy. I'm struggling to get my camera on. And I am the Associate Director of Advocacy at Frontline AIDS. And I am going to be talking you through these priorities alongside our partner, Andriy Klepikov from Alliance for Public Health in Ukraine. Andriy will speak more about strategic priority 2 and 3, strategic priority 3, and I'm really happy to speak to you about 1 and 2. Could we move back to the previous slide, please, colleagues? Thank you so much. And I'm sorry because I'm having a few connectivity issues and I'm just going to shut some other things down on my computer, which I'm hoping is going to improve the situation because I'm getting a few blips on the line. Thank you, that's great. So you can see on this preceding slide that we have 3 priorities, and I just want to start by saying that, of course, they're interlinked, but we are just going to take each one in turn. And the first one is around strengthening health systems. Next slide, please. So, as HIV responses are increasingly being integrated into their national health systems, I think all of you are very familiar with what the context looks like. There is undoubtedly an historic opportunity here to move HIV responses away from the donor-dominated paradigm that we have been in and towards ones where HIV responses are really led by the countries and critically by the communities that they're there to serve. However, there are also very significant risks. Many countries simply don't have the resources to fully fund HIV or health services for everyone who needs them. And we know that without the right safeguards in place, inequalities could deepen. And that is why people living with HIV and communities who are at high risk really need to be at the heart of the decision making. They must be central to shaping health systems that are properly funded, integrated, and that prioritise the right to health for all. So I'm going to say a couple of things about how we will do this. First of all, we will support community, youth-led and civil society organisations to play that key role in building the health systems of the future, making sure that they are sustainably financed, resilient and inclusive for key populations, women and girls and young people who, as we all know, too often face stigma and discrimination. We will be providing funding, practical tools and learning opportunities that bring community and civil society groups together to speak with a unified voice about these issues. We want to help influence healthcare reforms, increase domestic financing for health and hold governments to account for the decisions that affect people's lives. We will also be developing and sharing community-based models for integrating HIV services with responses to other sexual and reproductive health issues, particularly female genital schistosomiasis, which has been a real flagship area for us, alongside HPV and cervical cancer, viral hepatitis, TB, and others. And finally, we will be building evidence of what works because we know that that can really help to unlock sustainable funding so that the most effective approaches developed by communities and civil society can be scaled up. And I want to say that all of this work is based on the powerful experience of this group and of specific partners who have been working in this area. In Malawi, for example, a consortium of partners under our transition initiative recently advocated for the allocation of a new levy on motor vehicle insurance premiums, which is going directly into the pot for domestic health financing. And that is just one example of where community-led advocacy is catalysing these critical steps towards sustainable HIV and health financing. But it has also really strengthened dialogue between civil society and government on what transition to nationally led systems needs to look like. And I think it's a really good example of what we could do more of in this next phase. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to speak briefly to Priority 2, which is all about championing human rights and gender and racial justice. And of course, again, this is closely interlinked with Strategic Priority 1. The core tenet of this priority is that everyone has a right to access HIV and health services, to live in safety, regardless of who they are and how they live. And it's really important to acknowledge that around the world, we are facing a growth in organised, very well-funded anti-rights movements. And these movements are making it harder for people to access the services that they need. And this is especially true for the populations who already face stigma and discrimination. Key populations, women and girls, young people, often hiding behind the language of family values or traditional values. These movements are thriving on disinformation. Across our countries and our regions, they are pushing for discriminatory laws and crackdowns on our communities, and they are opposing even the most essential interventions like comprehensive sexuality education, for example, whereby they are cutting young people off from the information that they need to stay healthy. Here in the global north, where I'm based, anti-rights actors are also driving opposition to overseas aid, to the multilateral system, and to refugees and migrants, and they are undermining the very principle of international solidarity that has been so key to the HIV response. So under this priority, we will really focus in on countering that backlash against rights by tackling the legal, social, and political barriers that block access to HIV services, including criminalisation, violence, stigma, denial of care, civic space restrictions, hostile asylum and immigration systems, and the disinformation that fuels fear and exclusion. And we really want to support our partners to come together across movements and build shared strategies to counter these anti-rights actors and shift the hostile narratives that have been taking hold in many of our countries. We will centre partners' experiences and voices in how we do this, ensuring that they are heard in key global decision-making platforms and across national, regional, and global spaces where human rights are discussed. We will adapt some of our existing interventions to this work. That will include our REACT tool, which we use for human rights monitoring, so that we can really maximise its impact, as well as our Rapid Response Fund. And we will strengthen how resources are mobilised for human rights work so that we can combine rapid emergency support for communities under attack with the longer-term investment that is needed for a resilient HIV response. This is how we defend inclusive health systems and ensure every person can access HIV services without fear or discrimination. And now I'm pleased to pass over to Andriy, who will tell you about the third and final priority. Thank you.
Thank you. The third priority is in building resilience to crisis. This one is very appealing and personally to me as a leader and activist in Ukraine. For 4 years, under missiles and blackouts, defending our country and lives, we have fought to keep HIV and tuberculosis under control, to ensure patients did not miss treatment, to prevent the human crisis from becoming global. And together, we have succeeded. Medicines were delivered across the checkpoints and near the front line. Services continued under air raid sirens and during blackouts. Doctors, nurses, social workers, civil society, and community never stepped back. Today, the threat is not only missiles. It is fatigue and shifting priorities. Resources are shrinking, needs are not. Epidemics don't wait for political and financial stability. HIV and tuberculosis don't pause for funding cycles. If we lose control now, the consequences will not stop at Ukraine's borders. During the war, over 40,000 new HIV cases were identified. TB detection among internally displaced people increased 20-fold in comparison with the pre-war figures. We are managing, but we need more and deeper partnership. Funding, learning, and solidarity will need to flow across the borders to protect our hard-won gains. Too often, from Kiev to Beirut to Port-au-Prince, local actors like us are only assessing the scraps of the insufficient funding available. We do it better, reach deeper, and more effectively, and frankly, we deserve better. I would also like now to offer partnership solidarity to all those living through humanitarian crisis, and in particular, our dear friends in Lebanon and wider Middle East region who are responding right now. The experience in Ukraine shows us that community-led systems are at the heart of the resilient health response. With the right support, they play a critical role in responding to crisis and helping people to rebuild their lives. Migration to escape crisis is increasingly a fact of life for people in places as different as Ukraine, Ecuador, Uganda, and Lebanon. Frontline AIDS partners in all these places have pioneered approaches to include HIV services within wider humanitarian responses, reaching hundreds of thousands of people with tailored support. This includes using digital platforms to help displaced people stay on treatment and working through trusted community groups to reach those often overlooked in emergency responses. We, as partners, have built up a powerful body of practice that shows how HIV services can adapt, endure, and respond to both current and emerging threats. The climate crisis is forecast to lead to 16 million new infections by 2050. This is not inevitable if we act now. Next slide. Under this priority, we will build systems and communities that can withstand future crises and threaten progress on HIV. Strengthen collective resilience by capturing and sharing innovative practices and experience from our partners and others working across HIV, climate, and humanitarian sectors. Identifying and testing new ways of working, brokering partnership, influencing policy, and expanding access to existing and emerging funding. After decades of investment and funding, the HIV movement has so much to offer at the time of crisis, trusted by communities and capable to adapt. We seek much deeper partnership with funders, humanitarian actors. We also must unlock funding to allow for the power of community action to be mobilized against the threats of a deepening climate crisis. These three priorities Fionnuala and myself presented deeply interlinked and speak to our core strengths as a Frontline AIDS partnership. Let me pass now to Amrita Sarkar of Alliance India to share a community perspective on these priorities.
Thank you so much, Andriy. So hello, everyone. I'm Amrita Sarkar. I work for Alliance India as an advisor, and we are one of the partner organizations of Frontline AIDS. Started in 1999, our programs foster well-being, realize equality, and affirm the dignity of the communities most affected by HIV on pan-India basis. I'm also one of the UNAIDS PCB NGO delegation team from Asia and the Pacific. My colleague there, Fionnuala, is also here. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for your unwavering dedication, hard work, and commitment to serving the communities impacted by HIV around the world. As we move further into 2026, communities and organizations working on HIV and confronting unprecedented challenges, resource mobilization has become increasingly difficult, leaving many vital programs underfunded or unsupported. And additionally, the overall well-being of the communities is at risk due to rising anti-rights laws targeting the marginalized groups, including LGBTIQ individuals, sex workers, and people who use drugs. These laws and hostile environments threatened us to erase decades of progress in HIV prevention, treatment, and care. So in this critical time, it is essential that we really we rally together with a clear focus on community needs. The role of partners like Frontline AIDS is pivotal in this effort. The strategy for 2026 emphasizes three core pillars, as we know, that is strengthening the health system and include the most marginalized, then defending human rights and building the HIV response resilience to crisis. Frontline AIDS is working to support the transition of HIV services from international donors to more sustainable government-led and community-led systems. This transition is vital to ensure long-term access to care, including the African countries. By promoting domestic financing and social contracting mechanisms, they aim to secure continuous community-centered HIV and SRHR services, empowering communities to take ownership of their health. Equally important is their focus on standing up for rights and challenging anti-rights attacks. Frontline AIDS supports community-led organizations and their resistance against rising hostility and discrimination, ensuring marginalized populations are protected. Recently, as you know, Senegal approved a tougher anti-gay law, raising concerns among rights groups about increased discrimination and threats to the rights and safety of LGBTIQ individuals. This highlights the urgent need for community-led advocacy and protection efforts in hostile legal environment. I want to pick out Frontline AIDS' commitment to ensuring fast emergency response funding. This enables swift action to respond to threats, whether legal, physical, or social, that hinders access to care and safety. This rapid support is crucial in regions where legal environments are increasingly hostile and communities often face violence, stigma, and marginalization. Furthermore, delivering innovative, integrated, and people-centered services is at the heart of their approach. This includes integrating HIV services with TB, SRHR, and viral hepatitis to create comprehensive, accessible care hubs. Leveraging new prevention tools like long-acting injectable and digital innovations such as AI helps reduce stigma and makes health information more accessible and user-friendly. The role of Frontline AIDS partners are diverse but interconnected. Governments are encouraged to prioritize domestic financing and policy reforms. NGOs and community organizations are vital in advocacy, service delivery, and providing peer support. Donors must sustain funding and support innovative approaches. Every stakeholder must work collaboratively to mobilize resources, challenge discriminatory laws, and protect the human rights. So, dear friends and colleagues, now it is a time to act collectively. We must ensure that communities are at the center of all efforts, that their voices are heard, and that their needs guide our actions. By standing together, we can overcome these challenges and continue the fight towards an HIV-free future where everyone's rights and well-being are upheld. Join us in this vital mission, friends. Our collective action can make a huge difference. So once again, let us work together, keeping the community at the heart of our interventions. I sincerely thank Frontline AIDS for your ongoing support. We look forward to continuing this valuable partnership, which will enhance our efforts and strengthen our impact for the beneficiaries we serve across the various regions. Thank you all. I submit. Thank you.
Saludos fraternos. Soy Amira Herdoiza, soy directora de Kimirina en Ecuador. Kimirina significa en quichua trabajando juntos. Y así nacimos en 1999 como una de las primeras organizaciones de enlace de la entonces Alianza Internacional. Trabajamos por el bienestar, inclusión plena y de calidad de las personas de las comunidades vulnerabilizadas por el estigma, la discriminación, la inequidad social en los programas y políticas, principalmente en respuesta al VIH, a la salud sexual, a la salud reproductiva, a la violencia basada en género. Como Frontline AIDS, somos un socio que hemos constatado que el viaje se realiza sobre la coincidencia de valores y visión de un asocio global, horizontal y participativo, en el que todos los actores somos fuerza de movimiento, acción y solidez. Nuestra voz colectiva es y ha sido potente siempre. Ahora hemos escuchado sobre la dirección del viaje. Ahora más que nunca necesitamos mantener a las personas, a las comunidades en el centro de la respuesta. El derecho a la vida digna, a la salud y a servicios de salud centrados en y con las personas es necesario. Ante los contextos de retroceso de derechos, de violencia, de conflictos, hoy, y como siempre desde la sociedad civil, debemos seguir sembrando paz y respuestas de calidad y participativas, exigiendo el cumplimiento efectivo de los derechos humanos con equidad y con justicia. Como socios, seguiremos trabajando juntos. Tenemos grandes experiencias, ejemplos de resiliencia, perseverancia individual y colectiva. Gracias, colegas de Ucrania, de Líbano, de Medio Oriente, de tantos otros países en conflictos. Gracias, Andriy, por inspirarnos siempre. En África, enfrentados a tantas exclusiones, violencia, etc. Nosotros en América Latina y el Caribe en guerra siempre contra la inequidad social y ahora enfrentados a las violencias del crimen organizado y los totalitarismos ideológicos. Es verdad que los recursos son limitados, son escasos, pero nuestro compromiso no ha disminuido nada. Por el contrario, la estrategia que se lanza hoy demuestra no solo una reafirmación del mismo, sino más bien una consolidación. Es esperanzador, por otra parte, que cada vez somos más. Los movimientos comunitarios como el de Frontline AIDS se están articulando con otras redes globales, por ejemplo, con Coalición Plus, red global de organizaciones comunitarias con filosofía de transformación social centrada en las comunidades en la respuesta al VIH. Expreso como sede de la Plataforma de las Américas y el Caribe de Coalición Plus, la fortaleza en nuestra región de contar con una red de servicios comunitarios de respuesta al VIH. Orgullosamente, algunos de los actores somos miembros y puentes entre Frontline AIDS y Coalición Plus. Esta red ha sido pionera de respuestas transfronterizas a personas en situación de movilidad humana y se está fortaleciendo y continúa produciendo una respuesta centrada en la innovación y en la sostenibilidad de la respuesta en la región. Y esto sucede en países de Centro y Suramérica con las sinergias de cada uno de los socios y con el fundamento de ser Frontline AIDS y Coalición Plus. Es un ejemplo poderoso, potente, de que las comunidades articuladas, coordinadas, multiplicamos la fuerza y la calidad de la participación y la respuesta. Gracias a los socios y a Frontline AIDS, desde siempre hemos contado unos con otros y nos hemos apoyado en momentos de desafíos y hemos celebrado éxitos que han catapultado para nuevos esfuerzos. Ahora estamos en un contexto de cambios. Como unión seguiremos juntos para hacer la diferencia, para actuar juntos en la defensa de derechos, para asociarnos con nuevos socios, para articularnos con otros procesos similares. Sigamos proponiendo nuevas herramientas, nuevos modelos de financiamiento. Vigilemos el cumplimiento de las políticas públicas y de la respuesta de nuestros países. Seguiremos insistiendo en respuestas integrales creando hubs de innovación y respuesta, así como incorporando herramientas y tecnologías de prevención, sea en estas inyectables de larga duración, inteligencia artificial, pero por sobre todo eliminación de estigma y discriminación. Logremos que la información en salud sea accesible, amigable y una herramienta de cambio para todas las personas. Hay una frase que comenzamos a usar por primera vez en nuestra asociación durante la crisis del COVID. Somos más fuertes juntos. Eso era cierto entonces y es cierto ahora. Sigamos trabajando juntos. Saludos de Kimirina, de Ecuador.
Okay. Thanks, Amira, and thanks also to all our other presenters today. That was Amrita, Andriy, Fionnuala, and Lilian, just some of the partners from the Frontline AIDS partnership. And I know there are many others of you who could have spoken and have contributed so much to the strategy. So it's now for me to wrap up. Before I do so, I just want to say a little bit about how Frontline AIDS is evolving as an organization under this strategy. Look, it's been said that none of us can deliver the change needed alone, least of all Frontline AIDS. But it's my call to action to all of us allied organizations, and it's great to see so many people were able to join the call from our friends and allies. My call is for a radical collaboration to strengthen the HIV ecosystem, which is changing so fast. So for Frontline AIDS, as a convener of community-led and civil society organization, as you heard in this presentation, we're making clear what our choices are, where we're going to lead, but also I think really important is we want to give space. We want to follow others who are better placed to act in other areas so that we avoid duplication. And at the core of what we're trying to do here is about shifting and sharing power, centering the agencies of communities most affected by HIV. So my offer and my ask to the global organizations here on this call is about how we shift how we do our work, about less competition, more collaboration, less complexity, more straightforward support to those at the front line of the epidemic at the time when the ecosystem in some ways is shrinking and changing. Look, we're already on that journey with a number of you. We've been having rich conversations, including just a great one with Coalition Plus last Friday. And I look forward to having deeper conversations about tangible ways we can make good this critical need for deep collaboration. Another important thing is to say, as a co-located organization with offices in the UK and growing ambition for our office in South Africa, our goal is for leadership, decision-making and expertise to be grounded in the global South, close to communities and based on equity and mutual accountability. So, as we've heard from our presenters, and you all know, proven prevention and treatment tools exist. And where communities lead and given the chance to do so, where rights are protected, where health systems become more inclusive, HIV infections fall and people can live longer and healthier lives. We intend to work collaboratively. That's at the heart of our DNA, to secure sustainable, nationally led HIV health services, to strengthen rights-based responses and scale community-led approaches to keep delivering in times of crisis, as you heard from our presenters. The path to do that, though, demands that power, knowledge and resources are shared, protecting the hard-won progress that we've seen and bringing us closer to a future free from AIDS. So, together we can end AIDS for everyone, everywhere. So that's it. You'll see on the screen here a QR code which has a link to a web page which we've developed for the strategy, which has plenty of resources, not just the film, not just the text you saw, but much more besides. We're going to share the information on an email after the call. And if you're able to, please share information in your networks using social media and the hashtag that we've got here, hashtag Power in Partnership. So thanks to all of you. If you can put on your screens, it'd be lovely to see so many people who have joined us today. Huge thanks to those who have organized today's events, those who presented and those who were in the background. As we said at the beginning, this is your strategy, our partners, and we want to work in close association. And I look forward to continuing the dialogue with you all around our strategy, around your priorities. So that's it from me. Thank you again, everybody, for joining, and goodbye and good rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Thank you, Paul.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, May.
Abraço.